and welcome back to my channel, Written Word Calligraphy. Today, I'm going to be talking as part of my calligraphy business series, and this one is about whether or not you should do a side hustle or do a full-time business. Some of you guys have been asking me this on Instagram. Hey Karla, did you start off part-time or did you go full-time with your business right away? Can you tell us a little bit about it? For sure, and today I'll tell you a bit more about my story, some of the pros and cons, and also maybe some tips and tricks so that you can make that decision for yourself. And first, let me tell you about my story. So I started calligraphy, almost 10 years ago now. It's incredible how long it's been. And I was really excited about it, and it was more of a hobby to me. And I had no plans of really doing it as a business. It really came to me rather organically. I actually am teaching a business course, but I must say that at that time when I was starting my business, I didn't get to go through all of these different reflective elements I wish I did when I started my business, because there's so much I could have avoided before that happened, but that's for another story. And so I had a full-time job at that time. I was working for a telco company, and this calligraphy bit, just filled up my evenings and my weekends, and it was really fun to be able to do that. And I had no intention at all to move into a full-time business because I enjoyed my work and I also loved that flexibility. And it was only because the door started closing on me in my job, and I was earning enough in my full-time job in my calligraphy business that I decided to finally make the plunge 3-4 years later. I think it is around closer to 4 years that I've had 3 years that I had the business as a part-time before I moved on to the full-time part. So it really was not an intentional decision for me to okay, I'm going to quit my job and do full-time. And I personally don't really encourage people to do that right away, because it does take time to kind of build your business. But I totally understand as well, it depends on your business, your current job, and how much flexibility you have in order for you to do that. If your current full-time job is really full-time and involves a lot of overtime hours, for example, then it might be really difficult for you to be able to kind of juggle everything at once and be able to focus on running your business at the same time and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about the pros and cons of it for sure. So on the side hustle side, which means it's part-time, that means you're working, maybe about 4 hours a day at the most in terms of your business. I know that still seems like a lot, because that means that if you had your full-time job, then you'll be working 12-hour days. But that's usually what it means to be part-time, half the amount of time that you would have on a full-time job. And the pros of having that side hustle bit is that you have your income technically probably is fully covered in your full-time job. So you have that stability going in for you, especially if you've got the time for it. Filling up your time with something meaningful, your own business, is very satisfying. And knowing that it's not your full-time can give you a little bit of a peace of mind, and in some ways can also spur on your creativity, because now you have limited amount of time. And so you can be more conscious about it. You're not taking every single job that you have. You're much more cautious of what jobs you take because you have limited time. So for me, that really worked, because I ended up only taking certain jobs that I only really liked. And because I wasn't dying for that cash because I had my full-time job, that really helped me in terms of curating my work, and also being really conscious of the types of clients that I want to take. So in some ways I was much more intentional about my time, just because of the fact that my time was limited. And also, you guys probably already have worked some kind of full-time corporate job before. There's benefits to the work as well. So either you can have medical benefits, dental benefits, all of these kinds of things that will be a little bit harder, or maternity leave, for example. Having all of this coverage is great, versus on your own when you're self-employed. you might have to shell out all of this by yourself instead of having this like come out to you for free. And that's why for me, sometimes like when I tell people, if you have a good job, try to keep it as much as you can and try to work on those like hours that you actually have. But if you don't have those hours, then yes, maybe you would have to consider moving into a full-time business for your calligraphy side hustle instead. And of course, another pro that I really like in terms of having a side hustle is that, you also have the creative freedom a little bit more, because now you get the chance to choose. Oh, sorry. I'll take up that part. But on the flip side, going full time with your business, you also get like a lot more focus on it. Like when you are busy with your full time job and like having your calligraphy as a side hustle, you don't get that focus in terms of growing your business. There's going to be things that are going to fall off the plate. Like even for myself, doing it full time, there's still things that fall off my plate, but at least I have, my 8 hours a day or more. Like I definitely work more than 8, but at least you have that flexibility and you don't have to worry about your boss like wondering what's going on with your work or like your quality of your work dropping. I think it's really good to be able to propel your business like growth essentially, because on the that's a con on the side hustle side, you might not be able to really grow your business in the different aspects of it. For example, when I was doing calligraphy as a side hustle, I could only do 1 or 2 things. Like I could only focus on the wedding invitation front and not on the day of details front. Or I was only doing day of details at the beginning and not the wedding invitations front, because I just had limited time. I just couldn't afford to even have time to have like an online shop or do courses. Like the timing was just not going to work. But the good thing was I also didn't have a child then, so my time was a little bit more flexible. I could work 16 hours a day, and that's okay. But with a full-time business, you'll have a lot more of that flexibility of your time. And of course, there's also perks of like working for yourself, that flexibility of like working when you are able, and being able to work from home, and not have to worry about your full-time job, right? You're worried about your business. There's different worries related to that. So those are like the key things to consider with regard to whether or not you want to go like full-time or do it part-time. But really it has to do with your individual situation and capacity. Again, like everybody is different with regard to capacity in terms of how much you can do, your situation in your family. For example, there was a season in my life where my husband was very sick. And so we had a lot of hospital visits. And so that meant that my work and my business had to take a pause, a step back, because you've got to prioritize what's really important. Or perhaps like you're growing your family, or you're moving. Like all of these different elements like really shape how your business is going to flourish or not, or like and whether or not you should go with a side hustle or do this as a full-time business, because both of them have their own risks in different ways as well. And because doing your business full-time, the responsibility now sits fully on yourself to grow the business, whereas with a side hustle, you have like the company to kind of get that all settled up for you, and then you're doing what you love on the side. So it really depends on where you are financially as well, and where your family is at. And the thing is, there's no one right answer for everybody, and it depends on the season of your life that you're in as well. So I hope those things help you like reflect about this decision. I must say that, from this perspective of running my own calligraphy business for a while, I definitely wouldn't do it without planning. I would love for you to make sure that you have the financial capabilities to run your own full-time business if you decide to do that. So, making sure that you say at least have 6 months of income saved up, or even a full year of income saved up, plan out, like financially talk to a financial planner of how you could save money every month. That way you are kind of set, you know, that way you're not like just making this decision on a whim. I know sometimes like that's essentially what happens, you know, people end up either, you know, God forbid, got laid off or your company shuts down and you're now pushed to create your own business and doing that. But even as you switch from, you know, part-time to full-time, that I would really encourage you to kind of like cover your bases. That way that your business doesn't become a burden to you, that you can focus on, you know, getting those clients, doing what you love and creating beautiful things versus like worrying about when you're going to get paid and if the bills are going to get paid this month. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me at all, please feel free to write it in the comments or DM me on Instagram at Written Word Calligraphy, and I'll see you guys in another video.